by the Dr. Majuli College.
Thank you, Principal Sir, for your very nice inaugural speech. And thank you, Indira Ma'am. Now, I would like to give a brief introduction about our respected resource person, Sri Debajit Phukan Sir. Phukan Sir is the founder, coordinator, cum secretary of Mega Mix Nature Club, which was established in 1993. It is a non-governmental organization and it is purely environmental organization. He is life member and active worker of Assam Science Society. Sir is also district and state level judge cum resource person of National Children's Science Congress. He is annual member of Indian Science Congress Association and attended several conferences held in various parts of India. His scientific deliberation on nature and environment has been repeatedly broadcasted through All India Radio, Dibrugarh, various times. Phukan Sir has published more than 300 articles on nature and environmental conservation in various scientific magazines, journals, and periodicals. Sir is also being known for his leadership in field activities like camp data collection programs and management. By profession, he is branch manager of a very busy nationalized bank. But in spite of his busy schedule, he is continuously carrying out his activities related to environment. I have been witnessing his contribution towards nature, particularly bird species conservation at my native place, Lakhimpur district, with his full dedication since my childhood. I strongly believe that his scientific deliberation by Phukan Sir will help us, especially our budding students, very much and will wake up our naturalistic instinct within us and make us aware about our environment. So, this is a very brief introduction of our respected resource person, Sri Debajit Phukan Sir. And now I request Phukan Sir to deliver his speech. Welcome you, sir. Over to you, sir. Sir? Phukan sir? Hello? Phukan sir?
Getting me?
Sir?
Hello? Hello?
Sir?
Hello?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir. You are audible, sir?
Yes, audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Mr. Principal Sir, Soikia Sir, for your distinguished introduction about the extraordinary side of the biodiversity of Majuli and everyone concerned in this web meeting. I welcome everyone for this program. It's a concern to Majuli. The program is concerned to Majuli. The first I am to introduce about the biodiversity or environment of Majuli. Before that, I'm going to introduce you about the environment. We have to know about environment clearly so that we can understand everything, the components of environment and biodiversity. Environment is, briefly, environment is component of three items. Usually, biodiversity is a term we use from 1985. Before that, the term environment was used. But to understand clearly about the environment, we have to go to learn about biodiversity. Biodiversity is a composition of three items. Biological diversity is the full term. In short, it is called biodiversity. In Assamese, it is called Joibo Boichitra. To learn biodiversity, we have to fragment it in three groups, three levels. The first is microhabitats or microenvironments. That means micro means units of the environment or units of the habitats. In a biodiversity, first item is habitat diversity or environment diversity, but you have to clarify it by pronouncing micro, the word micro or the unit, micro habitat and micro environment. For example, in the Majuli, if we stand in a rich area, by standing a single point, we can observe several microhabitats, such as a river pond, a grassland, a hyacinth area, a wetland, a tributary, one bamboo plantation, one may be another kind of microhabitats means by these terms. Microhabitats means smaller habitats. These are component of the big habitats. So microhabitats is the first items of a biodiversity. So first item is habitat diversity. That means micro environment or micro biodiversity, micro habitats. For assumption, please imagine a area like a desert, big desert. Their habitats only one, single habitat. Sandy area is the habitat, that's the only single habitat in that area. And return to our place, Assam, standing in a single point, you can observe hundreds of microhabitats or hundreds of micro environments. So biodiversity is the component, sum total of this all micro habitats or micro environments. That's the first item. Then second is the species diversity. First was the habitat diversity. Next item, next level of biodiversity is habitat, and next is species diversity. Species means life forms. All life forms is called species. Scientifically spoke, this called species. Plants and animals all together are the species. If a biodiversity component is high, if biodiversity or habitats is high, there must be diversity of species level is high. In a desert place, you can count hardly 10 or 5 species or species diversity. But in a high biodiversity zone, you can count thousands, hundreds and thousands of species together. These species are plants and animal life forms. These are species. That is the second life form, second level of biodiversity. And third is called genetic scale diversity. Genetical diversity is an important issue, important component of biodiversity, because for sustainability, for sustaining in that habitat, genetical diversity is important. For example, in case of human, Homo sapiens, we have 3 geneticals, Caucasio, Negro, and Mongolio. All are with 46 chromosomes, but all are different in geneticals. Similarly, in case of tiger, Royal Bengal tiger, Russian tiger, Javan tigers, all are tigers, Panthera, Purdos, but genetically they are different, but they are tigers. In this way, this is called genetical diversity. These three levels of components together is called biodiversity. First is habitat diversity, second is species diversity, third is genetical diversity. To study environment or ecology, if we go through this pattern of biodiversity distribution, classification of biodiversity's component, we can understand it easily. Biodiversity or biological diversity is really run by the species, such as in a habitat, there are plants and animals. To grow these plants and animals and sustain this in the environment or in the biodiversity, they are relying among each other. For example, a tree is growing up to its full maturity. After growing the tree, there will be flowers. Pollination is important phase of flowers to pollinate and to ferment and to grow fruit and seeds. These are helped by the other species like bees, sunbirds, bats, and other smaller birds, and many of insects. These are the interrelations among the plants and animals. This is first point to note. The pattern of biodiversity and the system of biodiversity sustaining by relying each other. Plants are always waiting. After flowering, the plants are waiting always for the bees, always for the sunbirds, always for the other insect. They are collecting honey from the flowers. These are interrelated and these are interdependent. Then after germination of the seeds, the seeds cannot move themselves. These are fallen from the tree, high from the top of the tree to the ground. For example, in a mango tree, there may be 500 fruits. After falling from the tree in the ground, 500 tree cannot grow at the spot. They all will die for lack of space to sustain after germination. But animals are helping in this moment. So all animals are sustaining on fruits and eating fruits in the tree and dispersing the seeds. In a big forest, you can count the trees, all are seeds dispersed by the life forms. All the bats, monkeys, squirrels, birds are the disperser of the big forest trees. In case of in your backyard garden, you can ask your father or ask your grandfather. In case if there is 100 tree, in your garden backyard, then you can if you ask your father, how many tree you planted, father, in our backyard, আমাৰ বাৰীখনত আপুনি কিমানটা পুলি ৰুইছিল? He will reply promptly, I am planting 10 or 15 trees. Other trees are growing themselves. That's the secret behind of the services of the nature. Other trees growing themselves means these are result of disbursement of seeds by the animals, birds, reptiles, not reptiles, birds and mammals. Primarily, birds and mammals are dispersing these seeds and growing these plants in our garden. 85 trees are out of 100, 85 are grown, this seed sown by the animals, and 15 are planted by your father or grandfather. In this way, we can find out the interrelations and services of nature to the biodiversity. Then another things is there. Plants rely for pollination to the insects and other sunbirds. Similarly, dispersion dispersion of seeds relying on the animals. In this way, another side is all animals, all life forms are sustaining on forest. Forest is a composition of trees, several layers of trees, grassland, herbs, shrubs, trees. All animals, all life forms are relying on that. So without this habitat, without this kind of habitat, this animal cannot sustain there. So biodiversity, to get rich biodiversity, we have to preserve this component. First, the diversity of habitats. Second, high diversity of life forms. All species, life forms, plants and animals. This is the richness of biodiversity, and richness of biodiversity always rely on the richness of microhabitats, richness of species diversity, and this density of species. This is the prime causes of richness of biodiversity. So I'm introducing this environment and biodiversity by segregating the biodiversity into three levels. First is habitat diversity, second is species diversity, third is genetical diversity, and second species diversity distributed to plants and animals. And I pointed out very few things about interrelations among plants and animals for pollination, for disbursements of seeds, for nesting, for rearing their smaller springs, and rearing their youngs to grow. They're relying on this. These are the some components related to environment. Now I'm going to introduce about the habitat, biodiversity or environment of Majuli. First thing was some hints about environment and biodiversity, and next I am going to introduce about the biodiversity or biological diversity of Majuli. Already Dr. Soikia sir, Principal Soikia sir introduced a distinguished side of Majuli, habitat and other life forms and endangered species to introduce a distinguished components of Majuli. Majuli really geographically it's called Tarai region. From the ground foothills of Himalaya to about 300 kilometers area is called Tarai region. Tarai region means it is a rich in rainfall. Most monsoon rainfall is rich in this Tarai region. For that region, whole area is very dense with wetlands, rivers, tributaries, springs, ponds, and bills. Similarly, Majuli is a big river island and surrounded by river and other channels. For that region, Majuli is especially wetland-rich area. Much of this area is a grassland, and this grassland is a bigger part of the floodplain of Brahmaputra and Subansiri and other river territories. For this region, the humus, the richness for this region, the fertility of ground of Majuli is always high. Growing of all kind of shrubs, herbs, grassland, and trees, and farmlands are specially based on this fertile soil. Accordingly, habitats created by this fertile soil is diverse. Wetland habitat, grassland habitat, riverbank habitat, shrubland habitat, and forest habitat. For this region, several species of birds, mammals, reptiles, smaller numbers of amphibians are attracted to this habitat. So, Majuli, before 1960 or 1950, it was the special hotspot of biodiversity. Now it is not a hotspot, but it a distinguished biodiversity location. Yet it is due to human intervention that the biotic pressure is growing faster in Majuli for various reasons. For erosion, narrowing the area of Majuli, people are gathering to congested land, gathering into closer and closer, so that narrowing place is causing some biotic pressure to the biodiversity of Majuli and reducing its richness and reducing its area and reducing its grassland and grassland and other riverbank floodplain area. For the reason of biotic pressure, Majuli is losing its biodiversity. Yet, several species of vultures, common cranes, various kind of geese, ducks, teals, wagtails. These are mass of these migratory and summer endemic birds are harboring in and within Majuli area. For this region, during 2002 to 2004, a study done by the local bird watchers of Majuli and BNSS, a organization created IBCN, Indian Bird Conservation Network, surveyed Majuli, and promptly the national organization BNSS classified Majuli as a IBA, important bird area. This reason is congregation of thousands of birds, congregation of high diversity of birds, and congregation of more than five endangered species of birds. For that reason, Majuli is a prominent IBA among the 700 IBAs of India. So Majuli is important in this point, IBA, important bird area. Another component, another side of biodiversity of Majuli is a year back, hundreds, about 600 years back. The kingdom of Ahom, Sorgodev, they decided to create Majuli as the sacred place, is a holy place for the religious practice of those days. The Simanto Hankordev. For this region, Majuli was grown 600 years back as the Hotra Nagari. At that time, the name was not there, Hotra Nagari, but now it is Hotra Nagari, but created as a holy place, a sacred place by the kingdom 500 years back, about 600 years back. The reason is peculiarity of biodiversity, peculiarity of location, and speciality about its biodiversity and habitat diversity. That's the second. Another thing was there, that's a World Heritage Site. Is a proposed site. Majuli is a World Purpose Heritage Site. This was a group of experts studied. A group of experts already recommended this, but after some parameter study, several components are negative, so it is not advancing further. But proposal for World Heritage Site is not a smaller thing. It's only for Majuli was proposed by the Assam population, Assam community, Assam government. It proposal is not a negligible things, that it's a very important case of proposing for a World Heritage Site. Another things, after 1950, the big earthquake changed the whole topographical condition of Assam plain. Several rivers died, several rivers changed its course, and as a result, the depth of the Brahmaputra and all other northern side rivers are died into its 50% water carrying capacity. Brahmaputra is also about losing is about 60 plus percent of its river water carrying capacity. For this region, Majuli of hundreds years back and Majulis of today's is a very altered picture is now. So after study is going on very recent years, last 10 or 20 years, environmental studies are there in Majuli. Before that, there was no environmental studies. It was full of environment or full of biodiversity items. So this is some speciality of the biodiversity or environment of Majuli. And I pointed one thing that is called biotic pressure. Biotic pressure created by human. No life form, no wildlife form can create biotic pressure. Only human being is creating biotic pressure worldwide. In Majuli, it is also very distinct. Biotic pressure means people are gathering their day-to-day needs, gaining their commercial needs, collecting their other means of requirement from always wild. We're transforming everything from the nature or from the biodiversity. Our food, it's a component of biodiversity. Our wearing, it's a component of biodiversity, that's cotton. Our home, it's a component of biodiversity, that's timber. Our every kind of space for playground, for establishing a city area, for establishing a school or college, we are destroying environment. That's a habitat. We are reducing habitat, destroying species and other life forms. that's called biotic pressure. A wildlife is creating pressure is very narrow. For example, a tiger is hunting one animal for within a week. That's the cost of living. His cost of living is that enough. This is reducing only one animal from the biodiversity. He is after hunting a deer. The tiger is doing no any pressure to environment or biodiversity for about 1 week. But human being, they are creating hundreds or thousands times of more biotic pressure to the environment. So we have to keep this in mind. In Majuli, this biotic pressure is growing faster due to influx of people from outside of the island and within the island due to reduction of the geographical area due to erosion in rivers. We have to count this, so that we have to adopt some practice that are environment friendly or sustainable. Environment friendly means if we collect from environment or biodiversity without harming sustainably. Sustainably means the status of today's and status of after 50 years, the status of biodiversity after 100 years to be remain same is called sustainability. If we don't keep this mind, biotic pressure, we create biotic pressure without keeping this mind environment-friendly lifestyle or sustainable lifestyle, we will lose the biodiversity or environment of the Majuli very fast. Principals are already introduced this matter that there is no any polluting industries in and within Majuli. It's a very positive sign of today's and biodiversity point of view and environment point of view. Without these polluting industries, we can preserve more and more biodiversity. We can keep air clean, water bodies clean. So all water bodies and clean means production of water bodies grow very undisturbed. Polluting water body can reduce its life forms. About 5 to 8% area of Majuli covered by water bodies. These water bodies are harboring various kind of fishes. In Assam, about 292 species of fishes are found. In Majuli, it's alone about 122 species of fishes are there. These are the very crucial food component of the local community traditionally, because for amino acid, for protein, much of common peoples are traditionally relying on fishes. By preserving these wetlands, by treating the wetland environmentally, sustainably, we can keep this growing of traditional way of fish and traditional way of fishing and traditional way of fish dieting continue, so that we can preserve some culture and tradition along the preservation of this wetland and wetland based fishes. This is the second item, that's a wetland of Majolis. And another things the whole island during the flood time is a very large area is affected by the flood, and effect of flood is resulting with some positive side, that's humus, supply of humus to the ground, fertilizing the soil by the flooding water, growing water is very important things of earlier days. Nowadays, the embankment, dikes and embankments are reducing this, but anyway, during flood, it's destroyed by the growing plants and regenerating its soil fertility year by year in Majuli. That's plus and minus, both sides is there of these flood results. For this reason, wild vegetation biologically very supportive from the environmental point of view, supported by nature, supported by biodiversity. The growing of plants, growing of all kind of plants is very crucial in this river island. And so regeneration of habitat, after destruction of habitat, regeneration is very easy in that area. For example, Kumolia Sapori. Kumolia Sapori is the western part of the Majuli. It's a very barren land due to rapid disturbance of flood. This is the biggest attraction of migratory birds. Mass of migratory birds flying from Bangladesh, Burma, and other southern countries, they passing through this trans-Asian birds migratory flyway. One subway is passing through Dibu Soikhua and Junai, and another is passing through Majuli, through Kaziranga, Majuli, and along Subansiri River. The migratory birds in thousands, some important species, globally threatened species in hundreds, are resting in Kumolia Sapori. It's only because of the fertility of the land due to floodwater and regeneration, regrowing, and fast growing of the edible plants in Kumolia Sapori area, so that these birds are attracted by this quality of regenerating capacity of the area of Kumolia Sapori and throughout the Majuli. And another side, the speciality of environment and biodiversity of Majuli, another side is nesting place of some globally threatened species. So many areas, so many national parks, so many sanctuaries, so many reserve forests, and so many forest land is there in Assam plain, in Brahmaputra Valley. But very few places are attracting the endangered bird to nest. The Majuli is one of the prime place of attraction for the endangered birds. For example, vultures. The vulture is a globally threatened species. Slender-billed vulture, white-rumped vulture, these are nesting in Majuli. Another is lizard adjutant stork. These are also globally threatened species nesting in Majuli. Another is larger whitchill teal, but in Assamese it's called bor horali, nesting in Majuli wetlands. Similarly, river dolphin, hihu in Assamese. River dolphins are one of the important and crucial animal living and sustaining in and around Majuli. The Lohit, the channel Lohit is a composition of Subansiri and Kherkotia huti. The Lohit is harboring a high density of endemic fishes, local fishes. Further, it's also harboring some diverse kind of habitat as a flat plain. So about 20 plus dolphins or hihu in Assamese are relying on that area, northern bank of Majuli, they are relying there. This is very, very critical animal, river dolphin. These are sustaining there for hundreds of years. Previously, there was hundreds of dolphins. Now it's reducing to dozens, two or less. It is a very, very specially distinguished environmental peculiarity and biodiversity peculiarity of Majuli. These dolphins are not migratory. They are habitating there for the year, all the year. Sometimes they migrate, go ascend for the river Subansiri and other smaller rivers during summertime for their usual habit of migration and come back to during winter, they come back to their original place, Majuli, that's a Luhit Khabolo area, to keep it, to pass there, to grow there, to make their movement in that area, Luhit Khabolo area. This is a very another endangered mammal of river mammal. This is a state animal. Dolphin is now a river, the state animal. So Majuli is harboring a high density of river dolphin there. Another speciality of habitat of Majuli is the traditional environment-based, biodiversity-based traditional livelihood. The community of Majuli, several plain types community are there in Majuli. Primarily two are habitating there for hundreds of years. They have a very deep interrelations to the biodiversity or environment of Majuli. They are
Hello. Are you listening me, sir? Sir, please unmute yourself. Hello, sir.
Hello. 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 Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Not getting.
Sir, you are audible, sir. Hello, sir.
Julie. Hello. Julie. 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 What is happened? Hello. Hello.
Connected. Dear participant, please bear with us. Sir? Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Are you listening? Hello, sir. Phukan, sir. Dear participant, sorry for the inconvenience. Please bear with us. He will join soon.
Sir, please turn your Turn on your microphone, please, sir. Sir. Sir.
Hello, sir. Sir. Phukan, sir. Hello, sir. Phukan, sir. Sir. Sir, please unmute your speaker. Phukan, sir. 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 Dear participant, there is some technical problem, so please stay with us. We are trying to solve the problem.